Welcome everyone, it's Matt, and today class is going to be all about Eternatus and how we're going to take it down and how we are, at least I'm planning on using one of the strongest and most expensive Pokemon that we've seen in Pokemon Go. It's really going to start on August 18th with the Go Pass, but we're going to be able to fight Eternatus starting August 23rd, 10 a.m. your time to August 24th, 6 p.m. your local time. And with that, let's get class in session. All right, for the Max Finale event, this is going to start August 18th at 10 a.m. and it's going to finish August 23rd, 10 a.m. your local time. This is where we're going to get the most important part, where we're going to get the Go Pass Max Finale. You will automatically receive it at 10 a.m. this time, and Eternatus is going to be on level 100. I expect us to be able to get through 10 levels each day, Monday through Friday, and then it'll be unlimited Saturday and Sunday. With that, more importantly for this discussion, that tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, I expect to be level 25, 50, and 75. And each of the tiers will be increased power for Behemoth Bade and Behemoth Bash. And you should get additional max particles from power spots for tier 1. Tier 2, you'll get increased chance for wild encounters near power spots. And Tier 3, you'll get additional rewards for max Pokemon placed at power spots. We are going to get increased power of Behemoth Blade and Behemoth Bash, and it should level up for each tier that we receive. We are unsure at what level that is going to be, but I'm assuming it's going to be at least moving it from 350 power to 450 power. And that's what I'm going to assume throughout this rest of this video. If we learn the exact amounts beforehand and any other changes, as this is still changing right now through the databases that we're going through, I will be making more and more videos to make those adjustments as required. But during the max finale, you will be able to get to level 100. As I said, it's going to be unlimited. What I expect it will be, even if you don't do that much during the week, you should be able to get to level 100 by just getting Pokemon in general and doing raids. So you can just try and do it the best you can, and at the very least try to get Eternatus. And if you get the upgrade, you can increase countering of shiny Dynamax Pokemon in 1 through 4 star Dynamax battles. It sounds really nice, but the only time I expect to see that is us really doing Dark Skies. And on top of it, we are expected to really have to try and save up a lot. So, not so sure that's really super awesome there. The helmet avatar was probably going to be pretty cool. You get more encounters with Pokemon, but the last time they were fairly lame. And additional Candy and Candy XL for Eternatus and more max particles. I will have a video discussing whether or not it's worth it to go to the Go Pass Deluxe when we get more information as well. So, how to get Eternatus, I kind of already went through this, but we will get that week-long Go Pass for the event. At level 100, we will get the Eternatus counter, and I'm assuming you could get 10 levels each day from Monday through Friday. So we should be starting the day Saturday at level 50 if you actually do it each and every day. And that will at least get you to tier 2. And once you get to tier 3, you'll pretty much unlock the really important stuff. So even getting to level 100 by Saturday alone shouldn't be too much of a problem if you just catch Pokemon throughout the day. If you are working on Saturday and Sunday, it will be a little bit more difficult, but you still should be able to catch Pokemon throughout the day and level up through that as well. And after beating Eternatus, you will just earn a large amount of candy and XL candies. So when we fight Eternatus, we won't be getting more Eternatus to try to get better IVs. It'll just be a quote large amount of candy and XL candies, which we haven't gotten any clues on how much we will actually get. So let's go talk with Eternatus. Eternatus is a very high powerful Pokemon, but it is not the highest in CP. It's 5,007 if you get a perfect hundo and you level to level 50. So when you get to level 100 on your Go Pass, you're looking for a 2,530 CP. If you get a 2435 and you've got floor, and as I say, I expect to get somewhere in the 2450s because when we only get one of these, I tend to get 10, 10, 11 or 10, 10, 14. And yes, you only get one, and it's only through that level 100. Eternatus takes increased damage from Dragon, Ground, Ice, and Psychic. I'll talk more about that when I talk about what we'll be fighting. It is strong to Bug, Electric, Fighting, Fire, Poison, Water, 37.5% damage reduction, and 60.9% grass reduction. Stats 278 attack is very high. Satiant is stronger. Defense is 192, which is slightly above average, and its stamina is 268. So its HP is actually makes it a decent healer. We will be fighting Eternatus, Eternatus, and the weakness and strengths are the same. It's the same elements, Poison Dragon, but its stats are drastically different. Its attack is actually slightly lower at 251, which is kind of good because some of its power strengths are really, really strong. Its defense is 505, and its H stamina is also incredibly high. Only Blissey is higher. Generally, this means that they are giving us these increases so that we can actually beat it in time. We haven't fought anything with that defense. The highest that we've been fighting at that has been in the low 200s, and even then its HP was only in the 140s. So this is going to be an absolutely massive and annoying battle. Hence why we're going to need to really stick with very powerful attack Pokemon. Otherwise, even very large groups are going to struggle. All right, for the Eternatus, I'm only going to talk about the fast attacks. It does have two fast attacks. It's Poison Jab and Dragon Tail. And for Dynamax, and I will put a link up here for at least some of the early data that I've received. 5-star for 6 stars especially, and I'm working on the 5 stars right now. And when I do have that video, I'll put this on this video as well. But the 1 second fast attacks is incredibly disappointing. And from a Dynamax tanking standpoint, kind of makes it unusable. The key to filling your max meter quickly is by only using 0.5 second attacks and by using them without using a charged move. I've statistically proven that this is by far the best case for that, and for the 5 stars, I'm working on that sometime probably next week at this point to show if that there's any real difference there. So from a poison and dragon, at least we do have a poison dragon. But on top of it, I'm expecting that the Dynamax cannon is going to be a locked-in move like Zacian and Zamazenta is, and it will only attack dragon. And with that, that is what I think, but I'll also give you a poison just in case my assumption is wrong. So for the Eternamax Eternatus, it has 5 charged moves. And with its high attack, these charged moves are frankly incredibly scary. Hyper Beam is attacks at a pretty high strength at 150, but it is relatively slow at 4 seconds. And for that, with the animation and the resets, that means usually each attack is around 7 to 7.5 seconds there. And with that, that means that if you have a team of 0.5 seconds, I expect you to be able to get to your max move at around 13 seconds if you've only using the fast attack moves all at 0.5 seconds, which means Hyper Beam and even Dragon Pulse are only going to attack once. But Flamethrower with the 2 seconds, Cross Poison 1.5, and the Dynamax Cannon 1.5, even with everyone attacking at 0.5, you're probably going to see it attack twice. Depends on the Dynamax cannon, especially the animation. If the animation's long, it might be a little bit slower and you might be able to squeak by. But with the Dynamax cannon at 215, that is a lot of power that can be spammed. I'm going to do a damage calculation estimation, and once again, it's truly estimation. The Eternatus is its own quote-unquote power level. It has its own multiplier. We haven't had this before, so I can only estimate using what we have for 6 stars and then say it could be stronger. And even with the 6 stars, which honestly are weaker than the 5 stars that we've been going against for Dynamax, these numbers are still very, very high. Flamethrower with that 2 seconds at 65 definitely is also a bit annoying because a lot of the tanks that have good dragon, normal, and poison resist are weak to fire. So with that, we have a lot of complications to go through. The Dragon Pulse is going to be the attack that we really want to be hit by along with Cross Poison. Just for note, Cross Poison has replaced Sludge Bomb. So originally, Eternatus was going to be number 1 in Poison and number 2 in Dragon, only behind Mega Ray or Rayquaza for Dragon. But right now, it's moved to, I believe, in 3rd place for Poison as well. So even for raids, normal raids, not Dynamax, Eternatus is not the strongest in either with that move from Sludge Bomb to Cross Poison. But I'll be honest, Sludge Bomb was something that was going to be pretty nasty if we got hit by it. So maybe they'll switch it back. And if that's so, then Eternatus is going to be very important if you want to use poison during your raids. So for the damage capability Dragon, there's a few assumptions here. Eternatus is going to be 350 power for its max move, just like Zacian and Zamazenta. And with that 350, it is only a couple percent higher than Latios. And with that, with how expensive it is, this is pretty disappointing, as Latios is a hell of a lot cheaper, both in cost, literally money cost, because we're going to have to go through, and I'll kind of quickly go through that relatively soon on how expensive it's going to be. But on top of it, it has a very great adventure move as well that I'll talk about, that I'd rather use the candy on or store a lot of candy and use instead. So the difference between Latios and Eternatus is 5% at level 20 and 7.6% at level 50. So how to read my chart. If you have a level 40 Eternatus and a level 50 Latios, a level 50 Latios, assuming that it's 15 attack, just like Eternatus, or has the same IVs roughly, the level 50 Latios will be just over 5% stronger than a level 40 Eternatus. And for the amount of candy that's required, it's going to be about level 44 to 44.5. I didn't do the exact calculation, where Eternatus will finally be stronger than Latios. And with that, that's an awful lot of XL candies. Now, we might be getting enough depending on how much you fight, even just to get it to level 40. In general, I expect most trainers, and it might even be like 99.9%, or even more, 99.999% of all trainers to have stronger Latios than their Eternatus because of the candy requirement and how much money we're going to have to spend. Here's the damage capability Poison, assuming that it's not locked into Dragon Dynamax Cannon as its max move. It is stronger than Toxtricity. Toxtricity is literally the only one that we have, and no, Trubbish is rubbish. So with that, really, if we don't have it as a poison capable attacker because if it's being locked in Dynamax, this is just going to be really frustrating because poison is really only D-max Toxtricity. And honestly, there's a lot of trainers that missed out on the D-max Toxtricity, which will be coming during the max days as well. So that will be something that you should farm just in case. And even so, the D-max Toxtricity is only a 23 to 33% worse than Eternatus. And honestly, that's just really, really disappointing. All right, here's my best guess at damage taken by tanks for Eternatus. And guess is basically the multiplier of how much it will have attack versus its defense and HP. Generally now, I have a very good idea what 6 stars and 5 stars will do for damage, as my estimations are usually within a couple of HP depending on the level. If you're new to this is the 15 IV defense and HP. So I take the 15 IV defense, and the max HP that you see is the 15 IV there. The difference in defense is only about 4% from 10 IV. So honestly, that's just not really that much of a difference. And you could just really multiply each things by 100 or 1.04 in case you do have like a 10 IV. And if you're 13, do it by 1.15, etc., etc. Going through here, I have 8 different potential tanks, and honestly, there's really only 3 to 5 that are really going to be useful. The 3 here that I'm going to warn trainers to stay away from of this top 8, and honestly, if it's not up here, I advise you to stay away from them, is Metagross. Metagross because it only has a 1-second attack. And you're going to want to use it as an attacker instead of a pure defense. It would be okay if you switch out if it's one of your stronger Pokemon just before it attacks. But honestly, that 1 second is going to hurt it. Yes, it does have a bug 0.5 second move, but it is resistant against bug. So I kind of want to avoid using bug. And you're going to want to be using psychic as for the Metagross because it is so strong in psychic. Another one to avoid is Corviknight. Corviknight is honestly just not good enough. It does have a 0.5 second attack that is actually useful, and it's weak against. It does okay in general, but its strongest aspect here is poison, and honestly, poison's the one move where I'm not worried as much compared to most of the other elements. If you have a Corviknight and you don't really, you're looking for one more tank to put in there, it's definitely usable, but I have it at number 7. Number 6 I have is Blissey. The pound for normal is fine. It's a 0.5 second move. It has a pretty small attack animation, but the Dynamax cannon will tear apart Blissey and can be spammed twice. Without the proper resistances, Blissey is probably going to get hit too hard. If the damage is lower, then Blissey will be usable, but with no resistances in any of the elements here, and with the high damage of Dynamax Cannon and Hyper Beam, those will knock out Blissey pretty hard. Flamethrower, Dragon Pulse, and Cross Poison, Blissey can take. I don't like suggesting teams where you have to really pray and only get 60% of the battles where you could survive. When I come in number 5 is Kabutops. That's primarily for its flame resistance at 61%, or 60.95%, I should say. Overall, it is actually pretty usable for a normal poison and fire, but for dragon, you're obviously going to be using something else. Number 4 is Excadrill. It has really good HP. It is super weak against fire, and the Dynamax Cannon will tear it apart, honestly, if you're level 50, and it will barely survive. But it still can be useful for anything else. And honestly, Dynamax Cannon is going to be scary, and it is the thing that I am by far most worried about, followed by Hyper Beam and Flamethrower. And all in all, though, it still has its abilities. It's the strongest in poison, but even with the poison, Zamazenta actually takes less damage because its high defense skews it that way. And the top 3 are going to be Amistar. Amistar is going to be only used for Flamethrower, but it can survive a Hyper Beam and Cross Poison as well. Number 2 is Zacian. Zacian is going to be the king of Dragon, and actually makes Dynamax Cannon almost a joke at 48 damage and 50, where Blissey takes 267 damage. Zacian is able to take about seven dynamax cannons for the same damage. Dragon Pulse also is pretty much a joke. And Zamazenta is my number one. It handles Dynamax Cannon fairly well, as long as you have at least one max shield, and if you max out the shield to level 3, has 233 effective HP as it starts with a shield, and the rest of the damage is very, very light. And so my team is going to be strongly Zacian, Zamazenta, and Amistar. If you aren't going to be able to get Amistar in time, Kabutops is quite frankly very capable. It is just slightly weaker in general, but honestly, if you have to use the Kabutops as your fire resistance, you'll be okay. So for the best attackers for Eternatus, normally I give percentages on attack as, you know, we have all the information, but we are unsure of the bonuses for Zacian and Zamazenta. So I do have them at number 1 and number 2. Another assumption is that we're not going to be using Dynamax Cannon. Dynamax Cannon, I'll explain a little bit later, but that may push Latios especially above in general. And I'm also not going to place Eternatus as part of the top 6 attackers because of its insane MP cost and overall cost in candy. It's just going to require, even just to put the max attack, it will require at least 2 max particle packs plus enough candy where it's probably not going to be even really available until Sunday at best. And that's if you only fight Eternatus the entire day. So with those assumptions taken out, Zacian and Zamazenta I expect to be number 1. Zamazenta may fall a little bit behind Latios for number 2 or 3. But in general, those are going to be the 3 strongest, followed by Metagross, Escadrille, and Hatterene. I'll be honest, I did not expect Hatterene to be number 6, but she is. There is a pretty large drop-off between Latios and Metagross, and a large drop-off between Excadrill and Hatterene. If you want to be more aggressive and ignore Flamethrower, a team of Zacian, Zamazenta, and Excadrill is pretty strong as well. That will give you the ability to tank almost every element and still deal lots of damage as well. All right. And I do apologize if you're doing this on mobile. There's no way that I'm going to be able to give you all this information. And if you are on PC, you could pause here to jot down all of this data. But plain and simple, Eternatus is stupidly expensive. Stardust is not expensive. Stardust is pretty normal. But costs from level 15 to level 50. Now, if it's level 20, it'll be a little less candy in general. It's 8,460 candies. 4,480 XL candies. In general, this is insane. And a lot of the candies is really going to be from level 25, or actually level 26.5 to around level 40. And then the XL candies is basically 50 until level 42.5, then 100 to 44.5, etc. And that is just getting it to level 50. In order to level up every single skill for Eternatus, it's going to cost 5,000 total MP. So for attack, it's 1,400 MP. For the others, it's 1,800 MP. For candy, it's going to cost 8,000 total. 2,400 for attack, 2,600 candies for the other 2, Guard and Spirit. And then level 3 requires 320 XLs each for a total of 960. So in order to max out Eternatus for both level, assuming we get level 15, if it's not, it's a little less, and to get out all of its stats, it's going to require 16,460 candies, 516k Stardust, 5,000 max points, and 5,440 XL candies. That is absolutely insane. They say that we're going to get an increased amount of all these candies, but it's not going to be that much to counteract the amount of candies that we're going through instead. So for that, one of the smartest things to do is hopefully is to have a mega unit for candy. This is usually for catching. So this may not work depending on how they code it. But in case this will work, there are a plenty amount of poison and dragon mega units. You're going to want those XLs and bonus candy. But this may not work because we're not officially catching the Eternatus. We're just getting the candies. So I'm not sure if they're going to code it the friendly way or it's going to be ignored. But at the very least, right now, I'm telling traders Mega, Venusaur, Sceptile, Gengar, Garchomp, Charizard X, Latias, Beedrill, Latios, Altera, Salamence, Ampharos, or Rayquaza, because that, at least if it does work, will give us more candy and XL candies. Assuming that they'll give us the candy, assuming it caught. But because it's something new, it could go beyond the mega candies and just not work that way. And if that's the case, then shame on you, Scopely. Finally, we have the adventure effect. And quite frankly, this is incredibly powerful. Dynamax Cannon will increase the attack level of each of your Pokemon, or Dynamax Pokemon, I should say. It is expensive. It is 5,000 Stardust and 30 candy for 10 minutes. What it does is, for DMAX and GMAX units, other than Zacian and Zamazenta for now, Eternatus will be buffed by this. I have a sneaking suspicion that there's going to be other special Pokemon that will kind of have like the Zacian, Zamazenta, and Eternatus special ability sets that will also not affect or be affected by Dynamax Cannon. But the biggest boost is going to be if you have your other Pokemon at level 3. Moving to level 4 will be a very drastic increase where if it's a Gmax, it'll go from 450 to 550. If it's a Dmax, it'll go from 350 to 450. The level 2 to level 3 really isn't a huge bonus, but this is definitely going to give at least the attackers, especially for Gmax, a very large boost in overall power. And with that, it is really going to have a big role if needed. If like you're in a small group and you're just, there's only 3 or 4 of you, this will definitely help, because I think it's a lot more powerful than what Zacian can do for DMAX, and because it's only a 10% boost. And the other thing we got to test is, will it work with a max mushroom? If that's the case, then you're really seeing a pretty large increase at both the 50% attack increase and going from, say, 350 to 450 on your power. That is just a huge multiplication effect to do even more damage. So what is my overall battle plan for Eternatus? My team right now is going to be Zacian, Zamazenta, and Omnistar. It may be Kabutops, and if none of them are available, I may just go with Metagross and allow Metagross to faint if I get fire. Flamethrower, though, really makes it hard to do an attacker like Latios. I really would like to protect against fire if possible. Zamazenta is going to be my initial tank, pretty much. That's been my strategy all along for a long time. But if I see a Dragon move, especially after the first Dynamax Cannon, Zacian's going to be in there instead. And honestly, the only time they're not going to be in there is Flamethrower. I expect this to be a much more difficult fight. Dynamax Cannon hits like an absolute freight train and can be spammed by Eternatus. And honestly, it's a game over move if you do not have the proper resistances. Blissey will not survive Dynamax Cannon unless if they nerf the overall attack ability of Eternatus. And if that's the case, the battle will be very easy, just long. So you really need your Pokemon to have the correct resistances. On top of it, Eternatus has an insanely high defense, more than 2 times and more closer to 2.5 times more defense than any DMAX or GMAX that we have fought before. One of the closest ones that we have fought before in this is Blastoise, which still was relatively annoying because it was able to lower our damage more than most other Pokemon in general. Didn't hit very hard, but it just hit more often because we weren't able to spam it to death as quickly as a lot of the other Pokemon that we did fight. So we really need to use that boost that we're being given to our advantage. And the higher you are on your track, at least getting to tier 3 will greatly benefit your group in general as well. So if you're struggling to get Eternatus on tier 2 and it's real close, focusing on your tier pass or your go pass until you get to level 75, it looks like boosted the greatest, and it might even be really, really powerful of a boost. So we need to really focus on those boosts if possible. Finally, our goal is to get as much candy as we can. And for me, I think I'm focusing for the adventure effect. Now, if we do get enough candy overall, then maybe I will level up my Eternatus. But right now, I think I'm saving as much candy as I can for the adventure effect. So my plans overall, losing Sludge Bomb for poison and replacing it with cross poison was a huge blow for kind of PvP and PvE. A little less for PvE. It's now not number 1. And honestly, for the expense of Eternatus, I don't think it's really worth maxing out that level in general. If it was a normal type of leveling, I would be arguing different and really pumping it up. But I think fighting it to get enough candy for the adventure effect is definitely worthy. And if you want to level it up, it is going to be very, very, very expensive. I will only max out max attack, and I'll see how much candy I have then. I will try to save at least 3k candy for the Dynamax Canyon. I probably would like even more. To me, this is incredibly powerful. I'll be honest, I don't think I'll need to use it that often, but it's going to be something that I really, really want to use. And I don't want to be using my rare candy to fund it like I have to sometimes for my Palkia or for my Kyurem, for some of those effects that I use quite a bit. And honestly, I think this may be the most expensive event that Niantic/Scopely has ever done. Unless if they are incredibly gentle for the max points, we do know that Eternatus is at 800 XP, or 800 max points, sorry. So it is going to be costing just the same as all the other 5 and 6 stars. Generally, for the weekend events, we're only given for free 1600, so that's 2 battles. And if you're really good about it, that's 2400. Plus, if you have Campfire, you get another 800. So you could probably get 4 free battles each day. But honestly, 8 free battles is nowhere near enough for the amount of candy that we need for Eternatus. So, max particles are going to be needed. Yes, we will also get some, and my goal is to save all of the max particles I can from both passes on top of it for Eternatus. So make sure that you don't spend any of those max particles in August until Eternatus. Don't spend any of those particles that you're getting for the pass for the max finale until Eternatus. Usually, if you pay for both of those, you could get yourself another 4 to 5 battles. And usually it's only $5 or $10, and you get other benefits as well. But honestly, even that, you're still not really looking at a huge, huge, huge amount of MP that we will have max particles, and nowhere near enough. I really wish I had better news for that, and that's why I'm not going to advocate a lot of trainers for leveling up their Eternatus, because it's going to require hundreds of dollars probably to max it out, or to have a massive amount of rare candy and rare XLs, which some trainers do have. And if that's the case, congratulations for you. But for most trainers, that is not the case. And with that, that's all I've got for today. If you enjoy my videos, please like and subscribe. That really helps the channel greatly. And I do apologize. I might not have edited out all my coughs. I'm battling through a really horrific cold, which has slowed down some of the videos that I've been making of late. You can also reach me on twitch.tv/MattGuru. Also, I have a Discord, which you can contact me on, and the Discord is in my community section. Also, if you join my community or Patreon at a paid cost, I will put you at the end of my videos as well. But with that, that's all I've got for today. I'm kind of wearing out here. So I will dismiss the class right now. And as always, I try to do better next time. Bye, everyone.